Hey everyone, and thank you for clicking on this video in the first place. This is a short clip taken out of a full podcast episode that has been recently uploaded. If you want to see that full episode, I'm going to put it in a card in the top right of your screen right there, as there's a lot more talked about than just this short clip in the podcast episode. So I highly recommend you watch it. I highly recommend you subscribe so you never miss a full episode or clip if you prefer to watch the clips rather than the full hour to hour and a half long episodes. Anyways, I hope you enjoy it. And again, thank you for clicking on it in the first place. You listened to the chapter with me, with Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
he was
so boring. The guy's an absolute nerd. I'm not a fan of it, but he's very smart and very, very intelligent. And I agree with a lot of things that he says. It's just so boring, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's boring. But he was talking about in psychotherapy, he has to sit down with the patients and like face to face. They say something to him. He doesn't even have to say anything back, but they see his facial expressions when they say something, and they know, oh, that like struck a nerve with him. He didn't like that. He thinks that's weird. He thinks that's bad. Do you think that you can get that over the phone, or do you think it needs to be in person?
Yeah, this is a great question because, I have a lot of experience with this, being that my relationship is a long-distance relationship. From Colorado to New Hampshire on the phone every night, watching TV shows over FaceTime, and it's ridiculous. But it's way, way, way easier in person. Like and honestly, sometimes it's even easier texting than it is on the phone. It's really weird. It's hard. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my relationship. Maybe it's the other person in my relationship. I don't know. But over the phone's definitely way harder than in person. But I don't think that means that you can't listen to them. You know what I mean? I feel like you can listen to anybody no matter what, whether it's a text, whether it's an email, whether it's any, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was actually, like, to confirm that, he was basically saying you a lot of the times you don't even have to say anything. What people need is someone to talk to really, like, I don't know, I've said this plenty of times. One of the best things that's come from this podcast is me talking about what I believe and then really being able to like put it into words, and that solidifies it.
Right. And
it really strengthens my beliefs. And I don't know if that can happen with people's problems, people talking about their problems, and they just need someone to listen. Not even really to listen, but just to be there so that I can, like, I'm not going to do this just by myself.
Right.
I can talk about stuff, but we bounce back and forth. But even if you weren't talking, I'm talking to you, and I'm able to go through my problems, maybe figure it out literally just from talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I agree with Jordan Peterson, too, when he says, like, being in person. Sometimes, like, especially in a relationship when it's, your significant other, it's sometimes they might just need a hug. And you can't do that over the phone. And so instead you start screaming at each other. You know what I mean? It's crazy. and there's some truth to the fact that, like, if you're doing it over a text message or something like that, you could read something and you could get fired up. But then, like, you can take the time to kind of, like, before you respond, you can kind of, like, calm down a little bit and take the emotion out of it and then respond. So there's that kind of helps. So I definitely think over the phone is difficult. But I also, going to do a different, what you were saying, I think what you had mentioned about talking through your problems and stuff like that and having somebody to go to and listen to you and stuff like that, I think that's great. I think that's awesome as long as you're using it the right way. I think that a lot of bad can come out of that as well, depending on the way you use it. Like, a lot of people that go to therapy, they go to therapy just to talk about their problems. And then
just for sympathy.
Right. And even if that's okay, if that's you, but to go and just talk about your problems, that means, like, you're focusing on your problems. And I'm kind of the type of person that believes in not focusing on your problems and focusing on positivity. You know what I mean? At least that's how I work. That's how my brain works. Definitely good to talk about your problems, right? Even if you're in business, we sit down every morning, we talk in business, and we go through our problems, what we're doing good, what we're doing bad. I think that's great. But when it comes to just talking about your problems, then your brain kind of gets into this cycle of, hey, I'm going to therapy on Thursday, so let me prep for therapy on Thursday, and then you start thinking about the negatives, and then you're nitpicking little things so that way you have stuff to talk about on Thursday. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that can kind of – Andrew Tate talks about it a lot, and he's like, yeah, some guy committed suicide after 9 years of just going to therapy, talking about all the negative things in his life, always thinking negative, never doing anything to be positive, and then finally like he committed suicide, and it's like Andrew Tate's like, yeah, I would do it too, you know?
Yeah, you got nothing positive in your life. Or
Right.
you do, but you're not focusing on it.
Right. So I think, you know, when it comes to therapy and sitting down and talking to people, like it's okay to like talk about the good things in your life too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel.